Hi guys, my name is Christina and welcome to my channel and welcome to another episode of the I don't even know what I'm doing these days. I'm really just experimenting with format and experimenting what I'm exactly want to be doing, and yeah, I'm just having fun with YouTube. Basically, that's what I'm doing. Today, what I want to do is I want to react to the video that I randomly was recommended today online that I have a lot of thoughts about because it's really triggers triggers all my ideas. So the video is called Why Artists Are Never Happy, and I'm gonna be playing this video on the screen as well, and I'm gonna be reacting to this video. So I also doing this weird format that I'm recording on my camera, but I'm recording with my computer mic because it's just better sound. So hopefully it's gonna work out. So I'm gonna play this video and I'm gonna react to some points. I didn't watch the whole video through, but I just scrolled, and every single time I would stop to listen, I would have a lot of emotions and a lot of thoughts, and I thought that I want to express them to you in the video because I definitely want to react to this because as an artist, I have opinions. So let's play this video, and yeah, and I'm gonna react to that.
We've all heard of the writer whose ideas are flowing so quickly their hands can't keep up. The story is basically writing itself. Or the film director who has a conversation with an actor between takes and something just clicks and it brings out the most incredible performance that electrifies the whole set. Now, I haven't experienced many of those magical moments, and I used to think that's because I'm not creative enough and that I need to find inspiration, whatever that actually means. But then I thought about it a bit more and realised that all of these moments of creative magic seem to have one thing in common. The director, for example, it's only natural to wonder what they said to the actor that sparked such a brilliant performance, while ignoring that in order for the conversation to happen at all, the director first had to decide that the last take wasn't good enough.
Okay, so here the problem that I'm seeing, like first of all, that not necessarily a problem, I know something that I want to speak of, is the idea that art is easy and inspiration is easy, and it's something like genius ideas are easy, or finishing something is like easy. And I think it's total misconception, and I'm not saying it actually to, my point is that artists are supposed to be happy, artists are not supposed to be unhappy, and if you're artist and you're miserable, there's things that you should look in your life and your mentality at rather than blame art or blame being an artist that, because I just personally hate the stigma of putting artists in the position of those people who are never happy, who aiming for this perfection, or just, you know, the art somehow makes them unhappy, and being creative is makes them unhappy. My belief is that art is actually something that does make you happy. I am a professional artist. I also have several like other personal projects that I'm doing. I've been doing art all my life. Art is the only way I was earning money, and that's something that makes me happy. I'm happy all the time because of my art, and art is something that brings meaning and joy to my life. Yeah, and creating overall. So when I hear rhetoric like this, to me it says that people assume that just starting to create and just, you know, getting out creative ideas, getting out something great is easy. It is not. At this point, this thought overall is gonna put you in like very bad position, because it's not easy. It is work. It is enjoyable work, but it is work. It's action that you do. It's like talking about, let's say, workout. If you like working out, if you like being healthy and live this athletic lifestyle, yes, you enjoy the workout, but you understand that this is not something that is just so easy. You understand that you put in work, but you get something out of this. But it's this exchange. And without understanding that workout is work, you will obviously, when you start working out, you will hate it and you will be miserable. With art is the same. You train, you learn, you practice, you learn things about yourself that translate later in your writing or in any other like creative form, or whatever other arts you might be doing. And it's work, and it's putting time, it's putting hours, it's putting effort, it's learning, it's trying, it's failing, and failing is not bad. Failing is just, you know, you realize, oh, it's not working. What's gonna be working? And you like just thinking about it. It's just almost like a puzzle. You figuring out what's working or not. And it's supposed to be like that. Like everything in life is supposed to be like that. And if you're approaching life and thinking that something is just like you're doing nothing, you're not putting effort, is just pure happiness and nothing, no work or whatever, and it's supposed to work out, you're wrong. I'm sorry. And if you look at some other artists and it seems like it's easy for them, like this is what I heard about myself, that people are just saying that I'm doing this and it looks like it's easy for me. It's because I'm expecting to put work. And to me, putting work is not something bad. It's not a problem. And I expect to do that. And I put work all the time. And by the time things start to pay off and people say that something is working out for me, it's because people didn't see all the work that I've done. And I'm not telling them about this work up until I created this YouTube channel to start telling people about this work. So this is just, maybe it's a little bit too wordy, but this is like the rhetoric that there's something that I immediately want to say. It's work. It's not supposed to, you do one motion and everything works out. This is not how anything works. This is not how life works. This is not how it's supposed to work. And living just a happy life means also come up with obstacles all the time and overcoming them, but not seeing obstacles as a game over. Obstacle is just something that asks you to level up, and you're like, ooh, it didn't work this time. Ooh, how I can figure out to make it work. You don't have to put negative connotation to that. You shouldn't, honestly. You should just step up for the challenge and do it. So, yeah.
Writer, we might wonder what gave them such a free flow of inspiration to be able to write so fluently. But we don't talk about how after they'd passionately dumped all their ideas on the page, they then decided to rewrite the story many times, labouring over every phrase. So here's the theory. Before and after every great idea, someone's got to say, that's still not good enough.
Okay, the idea of not good enough and great idea. Okay, there's so much. Like every word he says, I'm going to speak up on. So, first of all, great idea is not a thing. Forget it. Like every time I hear, like, at least in my opinion, I guess everybody has their different opinions, but in my opinion, there is no thing in life that is like great idea, amazing win, perfect thing, wonderful picture, genius movie, la 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 la. Those things don't exist. There is no great ideas. There is no groundbreaking things. Life is just more complex than that, y'all. It's just not as simple as just boom, something works out, boom, something is brilliant, and just have to hit it. It's almost like it's a lottery mentality. It doesn't work this way, and a lot of ideas that we consider like good now, they just happen to develop, they just happen to resonate, they just happened to be worked on to a certain degree to speak to some people at some point of time. I think we should take the pressure off from ideas, and they might work out, they might not. Ultimately, you just create and enjoy. If it resonates, it resonates. Greatness, it's not like the solid factor. It's extremely subjective. It has everything to do with social environment, with times, with social events that occurs currently, with how people are resonating with this, how many people discovered whatever this idea, whatnot, who heard this idea. It doesn't really matter. So if I heard ideas from people, like just hanging out with some people from work or from school or whatever, and they would be telling me of like their ideas for business, and then sometimes there will be business opening that operates on the same idea, and the person who opened this business became millionaire. And the same people were talking about the same idea, just for one person, it never inspired them themselves to do something great about it, and never inspired their friend group to say, oh, that's cool, you should totally go for it. But one person did something else with this idea and it worked. So idea on its own, don't put such much pressure on idea. Idea on its own it doesn't have this much value. I work in movie industry. Whoever watches my channel, they know. I do visual effects for movies. I do matte painting. I create backgrounds and concept art for movies and TV shows. So idea on its own, if you hear what comes out of clients' mouth before a great shot is created, it can be really just like, ooh, cool. Let's add like clouds, but they're like more round. I don't know. I just Googled it on Pinterest and thought it was cool. Like client can say something like this and you're like, okay. You don't think like, wow, that's a great idea. But then hundreds of people show up to work on that. And then there's revision and other things, blah, blah, blah. There's at no point you see great idea. But then you see this movie is nominated for the effects or for visuals or whatever. But So don't put this much pressure on great idea. Don't put so much pressure on one small, tiny moment in time. Art doesn't work like that. Art is something that you keep. Its creation doesn't have one point. It's a process. So yeah, don't think like this. And also, he mentioned, I believe this is going to be the point of the video, is like good enough. Let's just watch a little bit more, and I think I will have more opinions about good enoughness. I mean, I have a lot already, but just let's listen what this guy has to say first.
And maybe I'm a pessimist, but I think that discontentment is what drives creativity, not these magical moments of gleeful inspiration. What we're essentially dealing with.
That I agree that magical moment of inspiration don't drive creativity. I agree. They might drive creativity in the way that it triggers your imagination, but I agree that this blissful creativity and inspiration, it's not something that finishes projects. It's the time that you spend on your ass actually drawing. Like, you don't see they have computer over here with the stylus. And so this is what drives creativity. I do agree, but I'm not sure how I'm feeling about like discontent.
Is modified perfectionism, i.e. the refusal to accept almost anything short of near perfection. And that's not an easy way to live. It makes it painful to look at our own work. We're more likely to be emotionally affected when it does go wrong. We can get stuck rejecting all our ideas before giving them a real chance.
Again, emphasis on ideas and perfectionism. Okay, so I feel like perfectionism has nothing to do with art. Perfectionism is a state of mind that you can apply to absolutely anything. It's not about artists. And honestly, I believe if you are an artist, the idea of perfectionism, you should realistically understand that it's not obtainable, because art is subjective. You cannot measure perfection, level of perfection in something that is subjective, like art. You can measure level of perfection for some mathematical equation, I would say, because, there's more solid lines. You can measure perfection in like architecture, some level of, architecture is still art, but like mathematical calculation of it, perfection of performance of something. Like, I don't know, if you have a boot that it is this so warm and waterproof and perfect for exactly what this boot is designed for walking into the snow and whatever, that's perfection. That's very clear guidelines. With art, I feel like perfection is not only not achievable, it's just not realistic to even expect that. And I think artists should expect not to have perfectionism. Like, you just can't. It's just, you cannot judge piece of art as good, bad, perfect, wrong. It's just not something that does this. You can judge certain way of like grammar, like perspective, color work, composition, anatomy, and something like this. But again, it cannot be also perfection, because this is your perceiving of that or artistic breakdown of those things that you see in real life, especially like something like writing and storytelling. There's also like it's not really possible to perfectly depict somebody's mind. Like, come on. So perfection, I think this is the word that shouldn't be there. I think it's just like, I just think like if you are an artist, and especially if you're a professional artist, this is like a basic thing that you need to understand to be able to do that, that it's just not possible. And it's just the question is different, like what is needed for this project. There is other aspect about growing and obviously striving for better. And better is not striving to perfection. Better is just striving to your idea, to what you want. When I'm creating my comic, and if you don't know, I have a comic, Book of Contradictions. I'm going to link it somewhere over here. It is when I think about, okay, I want to have a life drawing style for this comic a little bit this way. I want to like tweak it a little bit. For the next chapter, I really want to have more details, let's say in the genes that I'm drawing for my main character, or I really want to step up the quality of details in my background. Or I really want to draw hair. I actually like this way, or I want to pay attention to the eyes and how they reflect light. I just feel like it's going to add something. None of this is striving for perfection. It doesn't have to be that. Styles are completely different. It's just something that I look and I'm like, I did it this way, and now I want a little bit more. It's, how you do everything in life. You achieved certain thing, you got certain salary, and you're like, ooh, that's nice. I want something where I want to, for example, have a little bit more days off, or I want a little bit more pay, or a little bit more managerial position, whatever. Like, you understand like progression where you want to go forward. And this is, I think, the way to progress. And it shouldn't happen from disappointment. I think that you displeased with your work constantly, again, you have to reevaluate your mindset. And I'm pretty sure you would see the same in like a lot of other areas of your life, because it's something that is not adjacent to art. It's something that you probably have with your self-esteem, and because art is technically is expression of your mind, and we do connect to it, but again, I think it should be a healthy disconnect, because whatever you put out, like, so you have your own ideas and your own thoughts about this art project that you want to have, and then what you will end up creating, like when you put it out, like you wrote it down or you drew it, it's just a version of it. It's kind of like a barrier, like what is outside and what is inside, that is your idea. And like this is translation, like you understanding even what you want to say, and you understanding what you want to do, and your skill to bring it up. This is like this translation moment from inside to outside. It's gonna affect it. So whatever you will have in the end is not representation of you. So it's just representation of what you can express at this point in the like combination of skills and knowledge that you have to express what you have as an idea. So you cannot identify with your art directly like that, like it's me, because it's just not. It's just, the better you become as an artist, like skill wise, like just, more tools, more tricks, and the better you can do that, or the better you even work on yourself to understand what exactly you want to say, the better result would be. But it's not exactly equal. My art equals me. So I feel like when people like discontent with their art, they look at their art and think that's them, and and start judging kind of like themselves. I don't think that's healthy. And I don't think it has to do with art. It just has to do with like overall mentality that you should just pay attention to. Though, to be fair, he's talking about just have this moment of like being discontent and pissed. I had this moment a little bit for a small period of time. I think that happens when, let's say, for drawing, that happens for me for drawing, is that when you, as drawing, so it's like two parts. Again, as I said, like the part, like how can you take out use the skills to draw what you already kind of figured out in your brain. So when you draw, first what happens, you have to understand how anatomy works. You need to understand how shading works. You need to understand how certain things should be to be drawn, or how you translate that. It's like your understanding of drawing has to evolve first, and then with this new understanding, you have to kind of, your hands gonna catch up, and you're gonna develop some tricks physically to draw it better. So this is at least how drawing process always worked for me. You cannot have good drawing without good understanding. So it's all about eyes, it's about brains, like rather than hands. So to me, I noticed this as I was progressing with my art. Like I was, there was the times when I was not already like solid with a certain level, as I was progressing towards this solidness and being like at certain level solidly in drawing. So I would have this, like my brain would almost upgrade, like I would get new version of understanding of how to draw things, but my hands wouldn't still catch up. Then this disconnect between how I know I should be drawing at this point, because I have this level of understanding, and what actually like my hands are not able yet to translate it. This when I would have this like it's like, because I know that my eyes know how the right thing looks like, but my hands are not yet. And this disconnect is something that would drive me crazy. There was a couple of moments I like had like two moments of like being so pissed I tore my drawing apart, but it was like just 2 moments in my life. And that's, I think, like having it constantly is just, again, it's a sign of just mentality that you have, not art.
We could easily obsess over almost perfecting one small detail when we should be looking at the overall project. Because we see those flaws so clearly, it makes it hard to put our work out there. Hard to stick to deadlines, hard to keep a work-life balance. We may never truly accept compliments about our work because we're too busy agreeing with our critics. And so wouldn't it actually be nicer to avoid all that and just be content with our current work and abilities? We could choose the jobs that we know we can handle, never going for one we feel underprepared or underqualified for. We could do the bare minimum of work rather than spending our own time and money going the extra mile for the project. and we could tailor our work to what's been successful in the past rather than putting ourselves out there with something risky. Now, I've done all of that, and sure, it's easier, but the path is smooth and flat. It leaves you kind of numb, whereas the alternative is to say, that's still not good enough.
Again, my idea with not good enough. Again, it's a very weird idea, good enough. It has to be, it feels like a little extreme to me, good enough versus just naturally progress, or like put yourself out there versus just do a step and progress, or do something risky versus just progress. Like, you don't have to do something this extreme. And it doesn't, like, the fact that what he's saying, what I'm getting, that he is pushing himself forward with the power of just bullying himself, which is not the best, it's a little too boot campy for me.
And take the path full of risks and fears, doubt and exhaustion, instability and stress. And yes, it brings you plenty of those low points, but with it, the thrill of the highs. It's like we know that the stories we're writing need conflict, so why are we so scared of it in our actual lives? Now, I'm not sure what to call this. Maybe I hate my work syndrome, or constructive pessimism. Yeah, that's better, where we're quick to find the flaws, but then we make use of them. Here's a real world example. This room is a mess. It has been for a while, and it will continue to be. Now, I could tell myself that's because I'm not good at cleaning, or that I don't have time. But that's not really true. The reason I won't clear up is because I'm content with the mess. And contentment is the enemy of progress.
I couldn't disagree more. Content is not the enemy of progress. Content is something that gives you a good peace of mind to progress with feeling of safety. Maybe we have differences with understanding the word content because, first of all, I don't like mess. So maybe like we're so different people. To me, content is that where you're happy where you are, you're happy. But I think thinking that if you're happy where you are means you will never go forward is just not how things work. You're not moving forward because of all these fears that he's saying. He is afraid, and he feels like he was just listing all the horrors, stress, instability, fear, all of that exhaustion that he sees. So he identifies progress or moving forward with all of these ideas. So no wonder that he doesn't want to move forward. It's not because of content, it's because of this fear of moving forward, because this is how he perceives progressing. When I think like do something like progress with my art, I never think exhaustion, horror, stress, like this. No, I'm just thinking, oh, I'm gonna try it. Ooh, it's working. Or like, ooh, okay, that's gonna do it differently. Or I just do research. Or I'm like, what if I do it this way? No, okay, do something different instead. Like, I think if you're moving forward with all of these thoughts, it's gonna be so stressful. Content is just, I'm currently content with my comic. I'm content with this chapter. And the fact that I'm content with this chapter makes me feel like, ooh, let's bump it up a little bit. Let's do a little bit more quality upgrade. Let's do something a little better next time, because, I feel safe to move forward. It's like if you have safe place and you have this feeling of comfort that, you're not threatened by anything, everything is fine. I feel you should be feeling safer to experiment and do something else and enjoy overall what you're doing, because you just feel safe. You don't have the stresses that holding you back, and you don't have to be like, yeah, but where I am now is just not good enough still, like wherever I am now, like is a problem. You don't have that because you're content, everything is fine, so you're safe to perceive. So I feel like his actual problem is that just here, he for some reason started to associate progress and progressing with art and doing better with exhaustion, fear, self-doubt, all of this negative stuff. That's why it's difficult for him to progress, because like this is how it is in his brain. So I would not be surprised. Like, honestly, I'm in some areas of life, probably this thing are the same for me. I'm just thinking, well, I'm really the person who likes to work on myself and work on my fears and whatnot. So I don't necessarily see an area of my life that is so glaring right now. Let's say investment is something that I'm not super great at, like investing in property, like, or investing in something else big or whatever. That naturally gives me stress because something that I don't know yet, it's something that I've never tried before, and it's just something, it's just more of my area where I'm just a little stressed, but I'm not seeing how you, like, even though like I'm stressed because I've never done this before, but I'm not like having this strong feelings that this guy is having about art. It feels like he just had some bad experiences which he tried to move forward, and he had like some bad backlash from somebody and he didn't work through it, and now every time he has to progress he's feeling this horror and doom and gloom because of that. And he kind of connected in his mind progress towards art, like towards better art, with all of these negative feelings, and now he doesn't want to progress subconsciously. Like he himself, like, kind of like mentally wants to protect himself from this fear that he expects because of past experiences. I'm going a little bit like, therapy here mode, but this is how I see it, because I don't see contentment is not enemy of progress by no means. Contentment is, it's like a brick. If you build a house, you build a brick and you create this stable base. The stable the base, the better the house would be. And to me, contentment with something that you already have is just the feeling that, yeah, this base is holding up, it's fine, I feel good with that, then you can move forward. And this is how I see things, at least. So I don't agree, like, honestly.
But of course that doesn't mean that discontentment solves everything. The other day I went rock climbing and I was not content with my abilities at all. I could easily tell that I was not doing well. I had that feeling of, this isn't good enough. But instead of using that as fuel to keep me going, I just gave up and thought, you know what, climbing isn't for me. And that's the trap that so many of us fall into. Now, I don't mind if that happens with climbing, to be honest, but when I'm writing a script, or giving feedback to a collaborator, or searching for a filming location, I want to see the flaws, rather than quickly going, yeah, that'll do. But most importantly, I need to remember that all of this discontentment, all of this self-doubt, doesn't mean we should quit. It means we're actually onto something. Because the people who feel the sting of their own inadequacies and then keep working at it, they are the ones who eventually find the magic.
Again, I disagree. You can find magic by just working and moving forward. Again, also maybe the word magic again goes to this kind of lottery. This, by the way, this is the end of the video. Is to this lottery mentality. It's just it's like suffering, then boom, crazy, amazing, magic, and everything came together. This like super high moment. I just think that's not just healthy way of living. The life shouldn't be like suffering for this high. It's just not healthy. It's like, yeah, it will lead you to the life of misery for this one high moments, and then you will probably feel horrible afterwards. I just don't think that. I think like the idea of that you have to suffer to get something great is redundant. I also think that this is idea that we got from media and art representation in media, and this has nothing to do with reality of things. If you, again, it's not about art, it's just mentality. Obviously, like if you apply the same idea to everything in life, it shouldn't be like, in order for you to, be healthy, it's just you have to really suffer with your health, then it has to get really worse and then really worse, and oh my God, you should struggle, and then finally you're healthy. It doesn't make sense. What it looks like is just like the movie plot when you have to have character have challenges, and then final climax with them struggling and facing off the scariest thing and the hardest battle, and then boom, finale and everything good. That's really reminds me of how media tells us about progressing or doing something. I think progressing is just you move forward step by step. Yes, there can be setback, there can be another setback, but especially with something like art is something that you can 100% control if it's your personal project. And if, let's say, this is something that you cannot control, if you have a movie director or somebody who is giving you notes and telling you how to do things and whatnot, then you just have to change your mentality a little bit and not put like everything on your work. You shouldn't do work like this and say, this is me, I identify with that, this is who I am. You can't, because this is not who you are. This is a collaborative process with somebody else. And if you're working with somebody, if you're an artist for hire, if you're artist in a professional environment, it's not about your artistic mind. It's about your skills only. Like the director or client comes with the vision to you. Your job is just to realize this vision with your hands. It has nothing to do with your soul, your purpose, your emotions towards art. It's not about that at all. And I think it's just unhealthy. You're putting yourself in an unhealthy mentality. Overall, for this video, my thought is that it has nothing to do with art. It's a healthy mentality. I don't think that the people who suffer the most will be the one who will hit magic. Some will, but also they probably will be in a very bad mental space afterwards after they hit this magic, because now that they hit this magic, now they probably will expect to suffer some more to repeat this magic, and then they will have this idea like, how can I outdo it and whatnot. I don't think so. Like, again, magic, geniusness, greatness, perfection, it's not achievable things. It's art, because art cannot be judged by the scale of nada and perfection. There is just not that. That's not what art is. And yeah, so I personally just think that it's all about mentality. Don't bring art into your mentality that is self-deprecating. I mean, he seems like a good guy and really dedicated artist, and I'm just, whatever I'm saying, it's not at all dig about him. Like, it's just more, I don't like where these ideas are getting spread and getting popularized. We have enough of them in the media. I think we should come to the terms with like the healthy way of doing art. And a healthy way of doing art is like just doing literally everything else. It's just, you have to have your good mental state for that. You have to not be self-deprecating. You shouldn't be talking shit about your own art in your own head. You shouldn't be expecting yourself to create. You shouldn't be like creating some insane standard of perfectionism that doesn't even exist and nobody can judge to be something to be a perfection. And then you try to achieve that. You're setting yourself up for failure. And I think the question that you need to examine if you have this mindset is like, why? Who told you the art should be like that? Like, that's where I want to question you. Like, who told you this is how art should be? And because this is not. And it's like, you can choose what art is. And again, there's a distinction between your personal project and professional art, which I do both. And your personal project, I'm not understanding this mindset, because you can do whatever the hell you want. It has to be enjoyment. And I take my art very seriously. I'm just not like coming in and creating just doodles for whatever, just to have fun. I draw my comic, and my purpose is to create my comic and make it as good as I can when I'm doing it, as now. Like, for now, I'm creating chapter 9, and I'm doing chapter 9 as good as I can, considering that obviously I need to move from page to page, so I cannot spend like months drawing on a page. To me, comics is only good if it's, completed. If you do like one amazing page, it does nothing for the comic quality overall. So you have to move in. So you have to assess what good means, what good right now means, and then work towards this. And then, be holistic about like overviewing your work. And I think he actually was talking about that it's important to look at things overall. That's important. But if you're doing a professional, like the work in a professional setting, then you are not an artist there, in the sense that you're not a visionary here. You're just using your skills, the same skills you use to have your vision translated into physical media, into drawing, writing, whatever the hell. When you have client, it's like the client vision, and you use the same skills to take the client vision and put it physically. That's why you're hired. So you shouldn't be putting too much thought and emotion and heart into that. And like in the same way you're doing your own work, you should just be professional and do good work and use your skill to maximum capacity and get paid. And yeah, I just think it isn't about art. It's about mindset. And if you guys are watching, I really hope that you don't adopt this mindset. Again, I just, speaking about this guy, like, I wish him all the best, but I honestly don't think that this mindset is helpful for him, for any artist at all. And if you're doing your art and your art makes you feel horrible, terrible, sucks the life out of you, and you hate it, something is probably not right, and you have to reevaluate. Not art, don't blame art. It's something in your mind, and probably if you look in other areas of your life, it probably will be the same. because he is saying the way, like, actually he brought this rock climbing example. He did it first time, realized he's not good for it, and he said, it's not for me, I quit. And with art, the only difference why he continues with art is because he doesn't want to quit. But it's the same. He does it first time, it doesn't work, he get upset. And he has all these bad thoughts and everything, and then he continues again. And but then it's like, you see, the point is just you expect yourself to deliver perfection right away, or just deliver perfection. So I think the expectation is not good. And now he never gonna just do rock climbing for fun. Like, it's okay to suck, it's okay to not do it. And it's okay, not in the sense like it sucks, I'm not gonna do it, or it sucks, I'm gonna suffer and then continue doing anyway. You should not suffer. You'd be like, didn't work. Oh well, what did I learn from that? You shouldn't take your failures so personally and so strongly, so they really become dysfunctional. So yeah, that's my thought about this video. And I just overall, it gave me so much. I usually don't want to react to things, I'm not that type of person, but this video just triggered me all over the world. So I hope this video is valuable for you. I don't know, I'm just having fun and talking about whatever the hell I want to talk about with my YouTube channel, art related. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. I hope you're having a good day. I hope you're not struggling with your art, and if you are, please don't. It has to be fun. It's your self-expression. Art, it's about enjoyment and creativity and having fun and bringing purpose and meaning to your life. So please don't make a suffering out of it. If you feel suffering because you're creating, assess your self-esteem and thoughts that you have in your mind, and maybe you're having thoughts from somebody else who told you something nasty about your art from long ago. Continue, and this is what it is. Don't blame art. Art is fun and magic, not in one moment, but all around. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much.